It is time for us to open up our Singer Quantum Stylist 9960 and see what's inside. All right, before I get started showing you how this machine works, I want to make sure that I warn you, and some people have told me that I don't do this enough, and I think that they're right. So, warning, this machine is plugged in. So there is high voltage running through this machine. The machine is also rotating, as you can see here, and over here. So if I stuck my finger in here, I could get hurt in more ways than one. Rotating machinery and high voltages that can kill me. So two things I want to share with you. One, never do this at home. And two, from what they tell me, I'm a professional. So that's why I'm doing it here, so that you don't have to. Let's get into it. On this Singer Quantum Stylist machine, you'll see that we have it operating right now. In order for me to be able to do this, I've bypassed a safety feature. So again, don't do this at home. But I think it's neat to see and show you how the different pieces are operating on this sewing machine. And in fact, this one's pretty good because you can see it, most of the mechanicals of this machine right here in the front. So we can start here with the motor. This motor is a DC motor, and it gets supplied by a component that's on the back of this board. And I believe that what they've done is they separated the low voltage side to the front and the high voltage side to the back. So we'll see the back here in a few minutes. So it supplies a DC voltage to this motor, and the motor is variable speed. You can speed it up, and all I'm doing is moving that knob over here on the front panel. So all the way low is pretty slow. So the torque from this motor goes up via this belt up here to this big knob right here. So this is your hand wheel. This is where you turn. You can turn it by hand. Notice it's turning towards you, so it's going in the forward direction, it's going towards you. And that's the way you always turn this knob whenever you're adjusting it while you're sewing. Then we can see that this is attached to this upper shaft. So this upper shaft goes all the way over here to the needle. And so we'll go over here. Right here we have a bushing. So this bushing is something that's going to require oil from time to time. They used permanently oiled bushings in these machines, but that oil doesn't stay there forever. So you will need to put oil here probably about annually. It depends on your usage, how much you use your machine. And then we go right here. We have 3 different plastic pieces that are sticking out, and what they do is they're cams, and there's little optical readers here. So the optical reader has 2 prongs. On one side of the prong, we'll say over here, there's a little LED light, and on this side of the prong there's a little reader that reads that light. It's like a little solar cell almost. So whenever this piece of plastic is cutting in between those 2 prongs, so let's say these are the prongs and this thing comes through and it cuts off that light. So the light is no longer seen by the sensor, and that goes to the computer and says, hey, this shaft is at a certain position. And then it goes through and then it can see the light, and now it says the shaft's not in that position. Those positions of the shaft will align with things like the needle being all the way down or all the way up, so the computer knows where that needle is, so that whenever you let go of the pedal, it ends with the needle down, and when you hit that little button to raise the needle, it knows where to stop when it's raising that needle. So it's a neat little electronic method of doing that, whereas the older machines used mechanical cams. And then right here we have the gear. This is another plastic gear with another belt, and this goes down to the lower shaft. So back behind this board, this belt goes all the way down, and it goes down here to this lower shaft. This belt has teeth on it. This is where your timing comes into play. So this lower shaft down here with the hook attached to it, that lower shaft is what turns your hook. And then it also causes your feed dogs to come up and down at the right time. And then all these things are timed perfectly with the upper shaft so that the needle comes down at the right time to catch your thread. And so then we're working our way across here on the upper shaft. We got another bushing right here for this upper shaft. So upper shaft is going to have 2 bushings, one there and one there. And then you have this little lobe right here. That's actually there for a reason. And the lobe is on the opposite side of where your linkage attaches to operate your needle, and that lobe has a weight to it, and what that does is it counteracts the weight of the linkages going to the needle so that this machine operates smoothly at a fast speed. So it goes fast and it's pretty smooth. You'll never get it perfect because when you have things moving up and down, when you have the feed dogs moving up and down, that's going to cause the machine to kind of hop a little bit. But up here we're very balanced. One thing that I like about this machine is you have, for this upper shaft, so there's a rubber belt coming from the motor going to this gigantic plastic gear, and then that goes to a metal shaft, and then that metal shaft transfers all that torque from that motor through metal linkages to your needle bar, and everything in between there is metal. So that's good. I like how Singer does this. They have strong pieces all in between. Your weak points are going to be your shafts, and usually the smaller shaft on the motor is your weakest point there. And this one, I don't know if you can see it, but there is actually a fan on there. Let's see if I can. Okay, so there's a fan on your motor to keep it cool. And then, all right, so we've talked about the torque going from that motor all the way over to that needle that's going up and down. Then, when we look down here on the bottom, and we started to talk about it earlier, but down here on the bottom, you've got another bushing right here. So there's going to be two bushings on the bottom. You've got one right here, and then you're going to have one on this end that you can't really see, but it's back underneath there. It's going to be on the end of that shaft. And those are two more oil points that you'll want to oil. One good thing about this sewing machine that I noticed was when I was taking it apart, if you can get this top piece out, then you can oil both those top two bushings. And then when you get the bottom plate off, you can oil this bushing right here. You can't get to this bushing without taking off all the plastic pieces. So we're about 75% good on the ability to do maintenance on this machine without tearing everything apart. So now we have the machine turned around, and this is what I was talking about, the high voltage side. You have big beefy components that are separated from each other because it's a higher voltage here. You also have 3 fuses. So this fuse down here is removable. These 2 are solder-in fuses. So if your machine is, if you're working through some really tough material, or your machine gets caught up in something and then it doesn't work after that, and just lights don't come on, nothing comes on, you may have blown one of these fuses if you didn't blow the circuit to your house. Okay, this right here is what's called a MOSFET, and this one is what actually drives your motor. And you can notice that the MOSFET, and right here is a connection, black and white or black and red leads that go to your motor. That's going to be your DC voltage going to that motor. And then this right here is a big capacitor that smooths out that DC voltage that's made with, these are rectifiers that turns your AC into DC. And we'll take a look at that signal and see what it looks like on the O-scope, because this is the most in-depth sewing machine review on the internet. Something else of note on this side, so here's a stepper motor that's used for your needle position, and this stepper motor will position that needle side to side. We have another stepper motor up here which is for your tension. Then we have a stepper motor right here which is going to be for your stitch length, and then you've got another stepper motor right here. This one runs your thread cutter. So this machine has 1, 2, 3, 4 stepper motors plus your one DC motor, and these circuit boards get smaller and smaller. They've got big brains on them. That's a brain right there, and that big brain is telling everything on this board what to do, and the board is sending signals to these stepper motors telling them what to do, and sending signal to our backboard to run this DC motor right here. Other sensors and things that we have, so there's a sensor right here. When you're going to wind a bobbin and you flip it over, you're going to see, watch this down here, okay? Now, did you see how that little piece of plastic moved in? Little piece of plastic right there moved in against spring pressure, and now when the motor turns, it's only turning this shaft right here. It's no longer turning the main shaft. Then when you're done, you flip it back over, this piece just popped out. So watch this again. In, out. Now that it's out, when I turn the belt, this whole shaft moves. So what you need to look for here is this stepper motor is going to be moving this gear left and right to move the needle left and right. So you should be able to see all that here when we do a zigzag. I got it on maximum zigzag, 6mm zigzag. Here we go. And as you can see, it's going max left, max right. This stepper motor right here changes my feed dogs to move either forward or reverse. So I'm going to start going forward. Here we go, we're going forward. And now I'm going to press the reverse button. You see that gear? Now I'm going to release. So this time, watch this up here, where it adjusts the tension to pull that thread tight when we're cutting the thread. And you'll see the thread cutter come across too when this happens. Yep, so it adjusts your tension when it's cutting thread. Isn't that neat? The last one we're going to look at is our thread cutter. So thread cutter is run by this stepper motor down here and this thread cutter. So here we go. That's how it works. So it comes out, grabs that thread, pulls it back, and cuts it. And that's all done by that stepper motor. So we've seen what all four of these stepper motors do. Now let's take a look at the quality of this machine. The metal of the case is soft. This is most likely the Zamac pot metal, or it could be aluminum. It is pretty heavy though. I like the fact that this is made out of a heavy material. And then your different linkages are not very hard metal, but they don't really need to be. Hopefully the bearing surfaces are pretty hard. But this chrome coating on here is actually pretty hard on that shaft. Okay, I have a tool called a posi pen, which is going to tell me the thickness of the chrome coating on this shaft, which will tell me how long this potentially could last if it's got a nice coating on it. So we pull it straight out from our coating, and I'm going to get about 5 microns consistently. It's about 0.25 mils. And if you want to see what I'm doing, I got to do it horizontal, so it's hard to show you, but basically what I'm doing is I'm pulling this off, and it's got a little magnet on it. And when that magnet lets go is when I read that reading. In order for gravity not to be a factor, you hold it horizontal to the surface, and you pull it off like that. And we're consistently getting about 0.25 mils or 5 microns. Maybe I'll throw a graphic with some industry standards for chrome plating. So we're going to keep looking. So we looked at that. We know we have some hard metals in here, which is good. We've got a lot of metal holding things together, so very little plastic, so that's a good thing. I like that about this machine. Now this machine is not sold as a heavy-duty machine, and that's going to depend on your strength of your motor. So the Singer Heavy Duty probably has a stronger motor than this one. And now that I think about it, we're going to look up the motor. The things I like about this machine is it's got that needle, or it's got the thread cutter. Thread cutter is a pretty nice option to have on a sewing machine. You don't know how nice it is until you have one. And once you have it, you don't want to go without it. So that's nice. Speed control, this thing goes down, if you didn't see that, very slow for speed control. We're going to see exactly how many stitches per minute. We're going to calculate that when we do some more testing a little bit later on. For adjustments, let's look at how you adjust this machine. Right here you've got a manual tension adjust. You can adjust your upper tension. Lower tension is just like every other sewing machine with a drop-in bobbin. Your bobbin case has that adjustment. Needle height is fairly simple to adjust. You're gonna have to remove this gigantic piece right here to be able to get to the Allen screw right there that you can see. You got an adjustment right there for your needle front to back. That's your adjustment for needle side to side. We're gonna get this together. We're gonna start doing some testing and see what our results are. All right, so we've got our little digital RPM meter. We're gonna see how fast this machine operates. That was about 82 stitches per minute on slow speed. Let's put it somewhere in the middle. There's no indents or detents or whatever you want to call them on there, so we'll put it somewhere in the middle there. It's about 481 stitches per minute on your medium speed. Yep, so about 840 stitches per minute on high speed. So that's not bad. That's a fairly reasonable speed. This time we are going to be sewing different kinds of fabrics and see how the machine holds up through 2 layers, 4 layers, and 8 layers of regular, this is regular sheet, 100% cotton, 600 thread count. We're just doing a regular straight stitch, the stitch that's already set up when you turn on the machine. I'm not going to change it. We're also on the fastest speed. Okay, 2 layers. Looks pretty good. Time to bump it up to 4 layers. 4 layers of cotton. Not bad. And again, we're on a general purpose needle, size 90, 14. Now we're going through 8 layers. Again, no problem. Stitch looks great. Doing a great job. Can we fit more layers? That'd be 16 if I can do it. 16 layers of 100% cotton. Okay, you're starting to hear the machine working pretty hard. But once again, did it without an issue. I know I stitched on top of my other stitches, but that's a good amount of fabric. I mean, that's pretty rigid. So there you go. Not a bad stitch. 16 layers of cotton. I'm putting in a denim needle, so this is for jeans. It's a 130. No, it's a size 116. Okay, not bad. It sounded like it slowed down. That was me. Okay, I don't know if it's because I wasn't holding it straight or whatever, but you notice how that veered off course there a little bit? It's a little wavy. We're gonna keep an eye on that as we go. Okay, if you didn't know, you can raise your presser foot more. That helps you to get things under, so see how it's difficult, and then if I lift it up, it's really easy. So there's a quick tip there from the sewing machine repair guy. And let's give this a try. 8 layers of denim. I could tell I was working pretty hard. You can hear it. And again, it looks like a good stitch. This is the one on the left. And again, it's a little bit zigzaggy in there. If you know what causes that, put it down in the description below. Let everybody know. Now we're going to do a needle change and we're going to go to leather. Now we're going to go to the leather. So we're going to start off with 1 layer of leather and see how she does. Here we go, 1 layer of leather. Not bad, like butter, like nothing was there. 2 layers of leather. Now you see we got the problem again, so we're going to lift up on the presser foot, get it on there where we want, and then lower it. And now we can sew. This is 2 layers of leather. Let's see how it does. Not bad, not bad. 2 layers of leather. So one thing I'm noticing is that the stitches are getting closer together. And that could be because we're not using that walking foot that came with this, which is something you should use whenever you double up, especially thick layers of fabric like leather, or thick layers of leather. So the stitches got a little closer together because it's not feeding very well, and but it's actually making it through. Next, we're going to try 3 layers of leather. But how about we get something just in case we have a problem with those needles? Safety first. All right, 3 layers of really thick leather. All right, again, we got to push it up to get it on there. Okay. You saw it hesitate there a little bit in the beginning. And again, this is a leather needle. It's made for going through leather. And it had a little bit of a time getting through there, but it did. It got through. Not bad. Not bad. It's actually sewing through. Okay. 4 layers of leather. Let's see how we do here. 4 layers of leather. Whew. Oh my. Let's try this. Okay. I mean, that's pretty thick. Let's try and get it to the thinnest spot here in the middle. Let's see if it'll work. What do you think? Fingers crossed that this machine is still working in about 5 minutes. Oh! Oh. Okay. All right. We bring the needle back up. So our thread broke. Trying to get through there. I would say that we're not really a heavy-duty machine here to go through leather. So I think 3 layers is probably as much as this machine should really be doing. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. I really love seeing what these machines can do and seeing what they're made of. And I hope you enjoy that too. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or any ideas you have for other videos. I couldn't do videos like this if it wasn't for my Patreon subscribers. Thank you all so much. I've got your names going up on the list here. But thank you so much, because your support for this channel allows me to buy machines like this just for the purpose of tearing it apart. So I really enjoy doing this, and I hope you've all learned a little bit from this. Other ways you can help the channel is if you click on one of those Amazon links below. I'll have some links up there, and that provides a little bit of money back to the channel so that we can do things like this. And it doesn't cost you anything extra. In fact, if you're just going on Amazon to shop for something normal, if you take one of my links and click on it first and then go to whatever you wanted to get, that will support the channel, believe it or not. It actually does. So thank you very much, and have a great day.